Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Dear students of class 9th, I welcome you once again within this online lecture series. Hope you people are well, doing well at your respective homes. Dear students, let me first of all refresh and summarize my previous talk, my previous lecture. What I was talking about when I have started your new chapter that was titled as this electoral politics, chapter number 3 from the component of political science. Dear students, I was talking about electoral politics, how elections are a compulsory and indispensable element for running the smooth and the functions of the democratic system. Later on, I quote example from the Haryana, how this in Haryana, the elections were held and the so long deep-rooted Congress rule was given, shown a back door, and later on how the new party came into the prominence and came on the into the chair, and the new chairman, this chief ministership we have witnessed there. Later on, I discussed with you people as well that how these elections can be made, it can be witnessed that the Indian election system, Indian electoral system is democratic in nature. Later, I put forth certain benchmarks which Indian electoral system or Indian Election Commission of India has given to us, that if these elements we are fulfilling, then we can claim that we do have this democratic electoral system and democratic election policy within India. They one by one they are discussed with you people, and how this reverse electoral franchise or practice this political right that is given to the citizens of India, in which the age was reduced once in 1988 by the 61st Amendment. This thing was also discussed to you people, that how pre-political moment, how regular intervals of casting or conducting the elections, and how free and fair atmosphere, how the concept of electoral voting machine was introduced in 2004, and how it replaces the ballot box. So these were the days, these were the issues, these were the themes which I tried to cover up in my previous talk. And why now world nationwide we are witnessing and celebrating this 25th of January as the National Voting Day. Dear students, National Voting Day is celebrated 25th of the Jan every year as a nationwide day, as a National Voting Day. So it was a brief recapitulation and of my introductory talk which I was discussing to you people, that how these elections, democratic elections, and are really the elections democratic in nature in India. The answer is absolutely yes, because we have witnessed a very least chance of rigging. R-I-G-G-I-N-G, rigging. Rigging is the antonym of this thing, when there is no free and fair elections, when the elections are rigging, when you say the elections are biased, when you say the elections are on there's a backdoor entry within the elections. They are not fair, they are not transparent, there was least accountability conducting the smooth elections. So we can say, gentlemen, that the elections are rigging in nature. So to say goodbye to this rigging electoral politics within India, so we have established a strong constitutionally election commission of India, and every state is having the state election commission as well, to conduct a smooth and normal and quite crystal and transparent system to function this electoral politics. So later on I was talking about this is it good to have a political competition? This was a question that needs to be a very good discussion over it. Absolutely yes, it's absolutely yes that there's a need to have a strong competition among the electoral politics. If there is a one party only, a one-dimensional party, or there is no opposition, no strong opposition, so we can't witness a strong democratic system as well. We have witnessed that the small, if we talk about the current political scenario of the India, we have witnessed that the regional parties are coming from the different corners of the country, certain from the very northern poles, from the southern area, from the east or west. They are coming and they are making their entry within the politics of the center state at a central level, and we have witnessed the paradigm shift among the political parties in India. So the regional parties are emerging, and the coalition government, the new concept is emerging. That's coalition, when 2-3 parties are joining hands together to produce a single agenda to run the country smoothly. So this is the beauty of the democratic system and electoral politics that makes a strong democratic system. That's what we call India. So dear students, the strong electoral politics, strong elections are very compulsory to run the democratic system of the country smoothly. Okay, dear students, so the topic and the subtopic which I have chosen, 3.2 for today, from the textbook, that's what's our system of elections. What is the system of elections in India? How the smooth functioning of the electoral politics starts within India. So can you say that Indian elections are democratic in nature? To answer this question, let's just take a look at how elections are held in India. First of all, so if you talk about, we do have this Lok Sabha elections and the Vidhan Sabha elections. Dear students, we are having the Lok Sabha, plus we are having the Vidhan Sabha elections. So this Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha elections are held regularly after the interval of 5 years. Dear students, if we talk about the regular tenure of this conducting the elections, that's 5 years, that after every 5 years, on a permanent on the specific time, we are conducting the elections after 5 years. So the elections are held in all the constituencies at the same time, either on the same day or within the same few days. This is called the general elections. So when we talk about the Lok Sabha elections, we are conducting these elections after every 5 years. On the voting is done, the votes are casted or either on a single day or among a few days, but they are done. They are casted throughout the country after every 5 years. So this election is called the general elections. It's that very election, dear students, in which we are choosing our representatives to make our prime minister within the center. So this is what we call a general election. Sometimes elections is held only for one constituency to fulfill the vacancy that's caused by the death or resignation of a particular member. So this is called the by-elections. That's known as the by-elections. When we witness that there is a death, when we witness that there is a death of a particular representative, so what we are doing, that we do only one thing, that we cast the vote for the only particular election, that very seat, particular that very constituency. In that very election is known as the by-election. The first one is called the general elections, where everyone is voting for the representatives. The votes are casted either on a single day or within the consecutive days. But when you cast a vote for a particular constituency after the designation of a particular member or after the death of a particular person there, but the member there, so we can cast a vote for a particular unit, particular constituency. That's simply called the by-elections. So if you talk about system of elections, how Indian election system works. So the first of all, let's not forget to discuss here this constituencies, electoral constituencies. Dear students, what are electoral constituencies? Let me first of all brush the board. Okay, what are electoral constituencies? Electoral constituencies. Electoral constituencies. These are the electoral districts, legislative districts, voting districts, or an electoral area. There's a subdivision of a large states. It means that a particular part of a district where the voting is done and by the particular specific members of their indigenous area. So they cast vote for that very particular constituency. It is the smallest unit of the electoral system. The basic unit and the smallest unit, where the locals, where the local people, they cast their vote towards a particular member. Either they can cast vote for the representatives who they send to the Lok Sabha, or they can cast their vote for the local MLA in their state legislative elections. So it's a basic and a fundamental unit, what we simply call the electoral constituencies. Dear students, let's take a quick review. If we talk about the elections conducted in the Haryana, the case study which I discussed with you, then if you are saying the 76 seats came in the favor of the opposed party, it means that 76 members cast vote in the favor of particular person, and the rest cast in the favor of the particular group, what we call the Congress. So the electoral constituency determine the fate of the person. The locals cast their votes in favor of the person, whether either for the sake of MLA, this legislative elections, or we can say that for the Lok Sabha elections, the people cast their votes and within their particular constituencies where from they belongs to. So this is the first step. First, the hallmark, first feature of the the election system of India, when the electoral constituencies are established and they are given the constitutional shape, they are given the recognition. So in India, we are having the 543 constituencies, 543 electoral constituencies. Okay, dear students, so when we talk about the constituencies, when we talk about electoral constituencies, they play a very vital role for giving the quite clear representation to every section of the society. Every common people is given a choice to cast their votes. But now the question comes, what about the reserved categories? If we talk about the reserved categories, what about the reserved categories? if there is some situation that the people are not represented among the countries who belong to the very downtrodden classes, who are the people who don't have the complete representation, do you feel, dear students, that the framers of the Indian Constitution, they took this thing under consideration and cognizance, that let's give them them some sort of special reservation? They were worried. The framers of the Constitution of India were worried about the people who are less educated, who don't have ample amount of resources to utilize, who are very least advantageous. They don't have ample amount of the resources, education, and the representation to address their problems, that they too can take part within the electoral political system. So do you feel that they were worried about their people and they were under their special consideration? Absolutely yes, they were. It was there within the heart of hearts to give them a special representation there. So that's why the concept of this reserved constitution or reserved these constituencies came into their mind. So dear students, what they thought about this, so the makers of our constitution thought a special system of the reserved constituencies for the weaker sections. Some constituencies are reserved for the people who belong to the scheduled castes, SCs, and the scheduled tribes, STs. So in a scheduled castes, reserved constituencies, only someone who belongs to the scheduled caste can stand for an election. Similarly, only those people belonging to the scheduled tribes can contest elections from a particular constituency reserved for STs. Dear students, it indicates one thing when we talk about these special representation should be given to the SCs people and ST people. It means that they need not to be, they will not feel alienation. They will not feel that we are not represented. A particular candidate from that very population, whether we talk about the ST, whether we talk about the SC, they will come and they will take part in the electoral fray, and the moment they take part in the electoral fray, the particular group of the people will be represented. It means tomorrow, when any law is supposed to be framed, that very person will definitely raise the issue of that very community, that this my community, if I am representing ST community, these are the certain problems because I belong to them. I am their identity. I am their representation. I represent that very community that's living among the hills, that's living among the poles, that's poles apart from the center. So I am the person who is representing their ideas. So what sort of problems, what sort of grievances, what sort of aspirations, what sort of basic facilities, basic amenities of life they need to have. So I am their voice. So same is the case in SC, and same is the case when you talk about the ST, scheduled tribe people. So dear students, if you talk about this currently in the Lok Sabha elections, let me give you the statistics. It's 84 seats are reserved for the scheduled castes, 84 for STs. 84 seats for STs, and if you talk about it's scheduled castes, 84 seats for scheduled castes. For SCs, it is 84 seats and 47 seats for STs. 47 seats for STs. So 84 seats for SCs, 84 seats for SCs, and 47 seats for STs in the present Lok Sabha elections we are having. So this number is in proportion to their share in the total population. So whatsoever is the number of the population there, accordingly they are sharing the number. So same is the case when you talk about the democratic decentralization, which I was talking to you as well. So there's a reservation for every section. Whether we talk about the women's, if you talk about the 1/3 of the seats are reserved in the rural and urban local bodies for the women candidates. So the women's need not to be suppressed. They do not to be oppressed. They do not to be. They do not feel that we are behind the curtains. So there is 1/3 quota constitution that is given. Constitution that is bestowed to them, that they represent themselves. 1/3 of the total these candidates, their seats are reserved for the women folks when it comes to the local and urban the local bodies. So dear students, the best sense of this thing is giving the special representation to those very weaker sections, the downtrodden classes. That's only that every corner of India needs to be represented, and the voice of those very people needs to be addressed, and those people should not feel that we are the law makers within the center, within the parliament. They are the people who are the white collar peoples. They are the white collar frames. They are just make the law as per their own choices. So that should not. So, dear students, it was all about today. I hope that you have developed now the understanding and the sense that how the elections of India are working, that how will the establishment of the Lok Sabha elections and how this Vidhan Sabha elections are held, and how this tenure or the how the elections, this Lok Sabha elections, they get dissolved after a specific span of time. That's the 5 years. How the Vidhan Sabha stands to dissolved, and how general elections are held, and this how the by-elections are held, and how we conduct the by-elections. What is the special cause when there's a death or when there's a resignation of a special person, and later on you may have now developed the sense and understanding of these electoral constituencies. How electoral constituencies are the vital organ of this election system of the India. So how the people of the particular district or a particular constituency are represented. And they cast their votes either for their Lok Sabha member, or they cast their vote for their local representatives. So the division is held, and how these India, a large big country that is divided among the 3 constituencies, and to run the smooth functioning of the election system. So this whole game is done. This whole journey is done by a particular person, Election Commission of India. He is the only person who is constitutionally responsible to conduct the smooth functioning, free and fair elections within the country. And the way I said to you earlier, that every state have assigned to every state election commission, who is also responsible to conduct the smooth elections within the particular states. So election is the vital organ of the democratic system, needs to be democratic in sense. The moment they are not democratic in origin, democratic in sense, and democratic in practice, so we can't claim. So we don't have any right to claim, dear students, that the country is a democratic in nature when the elections are biased, when the elections are rigged, when the elections are rigging, when elections are not fair, when they are not conducted in a smooth, free and fair atmosphere, when there is some sort of rigging and there is some sort of there is a lack of accountability and transparency, then we can't have any right to say that India is a democratic country when the elections, that the vital organ is paralyzed, when that's not functioning smoothly. So this was all about today. So let's try to cover up the different dimensions and the subtopics of the chapter within the coming days. You just take care till then. Allah Hafiz.